Hey everyone, welcome to another Crusade raid video, and in this one we've got my final team for the Pandora Crusade raid boss. Now, I wasn't able to test the two new heavy units because I feel like the kits were designed for this boss, but I'm not willing to spend the tickets or crystals to pull for them, so I just did it with Bolina, and when I was testing with Bolina, I just found out it seemed like she does so much damage on this boss, and there's a lot of potential there already that I couldn't see it being like better to use the two new heavy units anyway. So I think they're a bit of a trap, and maybe they were designed to like try to bait you into thinking, oh, I need this anti whatever the force field shield whatever defense thing, right? Because this boss has that as part of the kit. But turns out Bolina does so much damage. You can tell by my thumbnail already that that Bolina is doing a crazy amount of damage on this boss. It's the highest score I've ever gotten on any single boss, which is pretty wild considering I didn't really expect her to do this much. But yeah, it worked out that way. So now let's go over the unit choices, and I'm going to talk about some of the nuances to like why they're positioned the way they are, and some of the other choices I've made along the way. So first off, we've got Illya, number 1, pretty standard. She's there to buff crit damage, overcap, and yeah. And then we got number 2, Zhao Wu. Again, we are going to sacrifice 2 units here. I'll go over that in a second because that's part of the nuance. But she will buff her EX onto Nade, and that will splash onto both Mel and Bolina. So the Nade will also trigger her EX because she is her triggers are the same way with 2 units dead. So then that will super buff the 2 primary DPS. Then we got number 4, Monica. She's gonna buff and splash onto all 3 DPS, and you also notice that this is the first time I'm using a triple DPS comp, and it just turned out that it was like something that I was able to do with this boss, with just the way it's designed. And yeah, so I'll buff her to give her a decent amount of damage. It's not enough, or not that I wouldn't say enough, but like it's not that much because it's only Monica that's buffing her, right? There's just no room to really splash anything else onto her. I mean, I guess she does get the Illya buff, and then she will get the Kossgard buff as well after the round ends on the second turn. But yeah, her crit damage is nowhere near capped, but she's primarily here to do a little bit of chip damage and then apply her fragile debuff, right? Because it's going to stack with Kossgard's fragile debuff to further boost the 2 remaining DPS, right? So that will lead to number 6, which is Mel, and she's going to be snapshotting her mark ability, right? And because Verir is not doing too much damage, there's a lot of room for Mel to do a big hit, right? Now she won't be capped on crit damage, but if I boost her any further, it's gonna overkill anyway. So she's at like the very, like pretty much just the right spot, right? To do a big hit that will almost kill the boss. The boss will have about 20k remaining, something like that, which is fairly low. And then yeah, she'll snapshot her mark, which will then pop after the boss dies. And of course, once the boss is super low, then we get Bolina, who has the highest raw damage, to overkill the boss, and then we're gonna have a big chunk at the end, right? And then it's gonna further increase with Mel's dot, and yeah, then we get the final score. Then number 9 we got Kossgard, and yeah, so now let's go over some of the nuances, right? Now, first off, why is Kossgard number 9? I think that's probably the most important, right? Because she's moving after Bolina. Doesn't typically make sense, but because this boss is a heavy type, right? On the first round, we're not doing any damage, so it's whatever we do here is mostly irrelevant, right? Then on the second round, this is when we're gonna kill the boss, right? We are basically one-shotting it from full health to 0, like after all units have moved. Now, if I make Kossgard move earlier, means that I have to figure out someone else to sacrifice, and that could get a little tricky because I actually only need Kossgard to move once by placing her at number 9, right? Because her buff lasts for 12 turns, and if she's also dead, that reduces the number of units to that would reduce the turn count, because every unit that moves reduces the turn count. But yeah, 12 turns is plenty to last through until Bolina gets a move again anyway. But this allows me to sacrifice her to trigger the EXs of the remaining units, right? Now, so on a similar sort of note, Meria is also getting sacrificed here because the boss is going to hit this AoE in the first 2 columns, right? So like both Kossgard and Meria will survive the first attack, and then they'll die on the second round as soon as Illya attacks. And Illya's going to be the first unit to attack on round 1, so the boss will immediately kill these 2, right? But Meria's buff lasts for 18 turns, and that is plenty for Bolina to get another attack with Meria's buff still active. So I don't need Meria after 1 activation, right? So that's why I can sacrifice these 2 to trigger the EXs of the other units or the other supports. And yeah, then we get 2 buffs of Illya because we have the first round and second round. Unfortunately, we can't delay it to a further extra couple of rounds because, for one, I think it's gonna ruin the timer for the boss's barrier thing, and yeah, I think also if you're stacking as much damage on Bolina as possible anyway, the boss is gonna get one shot. Even just like a solo Bolina on damage, it's gonna one shot the boss from full health to like. Or obviously you ideally don't want that, but you could do that if you wanted to. That's how much damage he does on this boss. Yeah, so that's why we're doing that. And now we're also running a triple DPS setup. Now, technically, I don't really need Verir to do damage, but she does do some, right? But she's mostly here because she's applying Fragile, which will then allow me to snapshot Mel more, and Bolina will do more damage on her overkill, right? It's another additional way to boost Bolina, because you only need so many crit damage buffers. Like with this setup, she's going to be max crit damage already, mostly because of Meria's buff, right? So the only way to further increase that would be to either increase her crit damage cap, which I can't do any further because only Illya can do that, and she's doing the most she can do already. The other way is Fragile debuff, at least from what we currently have available. So yeah, Verir and Kossgard will be applying Fragile, and there's both stack. Then she'll do a little bit cheat damage because Monica does buff her with damage. Now, this also brings me to a bit of another little thing that I had to change, right? So most DPS will run a flat attack and a percentage attack as their cores, but Verir, with Monica being the solo buffer for her, Verir actually doesn't reach 100% crit chance, unfortunately. She actually reaches 97%-ish, roughly like that. So the way I counteract this was I tested it with by removing one of her cores and then replacing it with a crit chance core to like guarantee a crit. It actually reduced the damage enough that Mel is still able to go all out on damage and not kill the boss straight away and apply a large mark damage, right? And then Bolina, of course, will finish off the boss, and then the mark damage will pop, and that's how I got the final score. So that is like all the little nuances, and it's not just simply copy the lineup and it works. Like you have to sort of plan around it a little bit, right? So yeah, that is the team setup. So I'll play the fight so you can see it. It's pretty short. There's only 2 rounds anyway, so you can see everything in action. Yeah, then we can move to the final score. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to beat this. Maybe someone might test out the 2 heavies and see if they do good damage, but I feel like it's pretty unlikely. But I don't know, who knows? I could get beat. Then if that happens, then so be it. I did the best I could, and I was pretty happy with what I achieved on this boss anyway. So now the boss is out of defense mode, and we've sacrificed 2 units here. So I'm going to show you the stats after the buffs here. So we got Verir. So this is her damage that she's going to snapshot some mark damage as well, and she's got max crit chance here, right? Now I'm gonna wait for Mel because when she moves, she gains a little bit of crit damage, I think. So here she's almost 1k, which is not quite capped. There's like an extra 106% ish to go, but if I increase this any further somehow, she will actually overkill the boss anyway, which would be awkward because the boss doesn't have hasn't taken that much damage until at least at this point, right? That's her stats. Now she chunks it down to about 20k remaining. Yeah, 23 each k, 24. And Bolina is obviously capped and max attack, right? So now then Bolina will chunk her down or chunk this down, and then you see the pop goes up to like 8 million total damage, and now we get the score with the adjust the score based off how much damage you've dealt. So I think it halves it and then it adds the kill score and turn score. It seems like that's how it's calculated. Also, this damage is consistent. I'll show you here on this screen here. So for today's attempts, I did all 3, and they're all exactly the same amount of damage. And that's just purely because I made sure to have 100% crit chance on all DPS units. So this is the current tally. There's still another day left, so who knows? Someone could cook something up and maybe they beat me, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I hope that is insightful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.